All right, everybody, it's Nash, and I'm back. We're going to be talking some Texas Longhorn football, and specifically, we're going to be talking about the wild card for Steve Sarkisian's offense in the 2023 football year. This season's coming up close, and I'm not going to hide the name any longer. His name is Savion Red. Most of you already guessed it. It's not like his silhouette's easy to pick out, but y'all guessed it, so good on y'all. But if you like the video, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then comment down below your thoughts on Savion Red and the 2023 year. And then also in the description, you can actually check out an article that I wrote for this. It's just shy of 1,500 words. I put some time into it, so go ahead and check it out. Let me know what you think. And yeah, thank you very much. And let's just hop right into the video. So now, like I said, it's probably no surprise that Savion Red was the dude. He's like, it's the wild card. If you were to ask anybody without a thumbnail or a picture, they're going to sit there and probably say Savion Red. Like, it's like a family feud. You go out there and you poll 100 people, majority of the response is probably going to be Savion Red. But did not get his red shirt utilized in 2022. Now, that's noteworthy. And the reason why it's noteworthy is because, I mean, you could have had it burned pretty easily, you know? But the coaches, they said, hey, you know what? We need this guy. We need this guy on the field. And that was probably a little bit due to a lack of depth that we had at the wide receiver position. But the influx of depth that we had has allowed him to move to another position where we had some lack of depth, and that's at the running back position, which is a huge thing of need in 2023. Obviously, we're losing Roschon Johnson right behind me. And then Bijan Robinson. Those are some awfully big shoes to fill as a running back. And we got some really talented dudes. You got C.J. Baxter, 5-star freshman. Really, I mean, Bijan Robinson was a 5-star freshman at one point. And, I mean, it's really easy to look at the recruiting ranking of C.J. Baxter and go and say that should be the next Bijan. But we're going to be talking about a boom or bust guy. And I don't think bust is fair to say for him, but I think that he could really boom in 2023 if the opportunity falls into his hands and if he takes advantage of it. As well as, I mean, honestly, I think that you'll see here in a second, I think the BMI, he's a big, thick guy. He can withstand some hits, and I think, well, I'll say he should be able to withstand some hits with a body like that, and he should be able to have that translate into, you know, more durability at the running back position. But let's just start off with his hands. I mean, Savion Red, that dude, he's got very smooth hands. He didn't have a single drop last year. I mean, the one bat, it was a bad ball, okay? And if you know what I'm talking about, ball was like behind him on the ground, okay? There was no catching the ball. If he did catch the ball, great. Would have been an amazing catch. Not an amazing catch, but like, it's not like an Odell Beckham catch, but it still would have been very impressive for him to catch the ball nonetheless. He didn't. Most of it, really, all of his yardage came from bubble screens. But one piece that stands out to me when you're talking about Savion Red and his yardage, mind-blowing stat, because you probably won't hear it anywhere else. And it's really a small sample size, so that's what allows him to have this. But 132%, yes, 132% of his yardage has come after the catch. Not 100%, no. He's had 32% over 100% of his yards after the catch. I believe it's like 48 yards after the catch. And let me see. I don't have it. It's like 48 yards after the catch right now, but he had a total of 35 yards. Or 34 yards on 6 catches, 7 targets. That one target that he didn't catch, bad ball, remember? 5.7 yards per reception, long of 11 yards. I think, and that long of 11 yards was one of the more impressive things that I saw from him, and it's something that gives me faith in his boom potential. I think his boom potential is he's a guy that moves well in space. And if we get his boom potential meaning, you'll hear me talk about this, like stress this in a second, but I'll stress it right now, the blocking. That's arguably the number one aspect for a running back. I know some people will say, well, what about the vision? That's number two for me. Number one, if you can't block for the quarterback, you're not going to. I think there's a lot of coaches that would probably agree with that. If you can't block, you ain't going to see the field. Doesn't matter how much vision you have. You'll see the field, but you're not going to be the main guy. You're not going out there on third downs. You want to be a 3-down back. Start block for the quarterback and block effectively. Vision. I mean, going to holes. If you're not running to the hole, there's not a use in handing the ball to you. One of the things that Jonathan Brooks does the best is his vision. So he's really going to have to show something to really say, hey, give me the ball over a guy like that. But where he really starts to, you heard Steve Sarkisian talk about it in the spring game. Man, Jonathan Brooks, Savion Red, he really brings us some versatility. I talked about his hands being smooth earlier. He is a smooth catcher of the football, and then when he gets that ball in his hands, he moves well in open space. And then if there's not open space immediately in front of him, he will go and find open space nearby. He's just like I like how he is with the ball when he's in not tight coverage. I'm not trying to say that. When there's defenders nearby, he knows how to get open. He knows how to maneuver to open field and try and maximize everything that he can out of the play. And that's something that I love, especially out of a running back. I don't want a running back running into bodies. I want him running to open field. That's something that gives me faith that he's going to have that vision that a running back is needed. It's a huge part of the game. But so I mentioned the BMI, okay? And this is it's a thing that I've kind of borrowed from fantasy football. A guy that I really am good buddies with, Fantasy Flock Network. Go check that out if you like fantasy football. But he's the one that really brought this to my attention, and it's you're aiming for like BMI of 32. That's a good number for a fantasy football guy to hit, or dynasty football. So like a Bijan Robinson, right? He's close to that number. These are things that you want to see out of a running back, and the reason why is because and also I'll say this, once they get to a certain size, the BMI can be lower. So like a great example of that is a Roschon Johnson. He was a lower BMI, but that's still just a massive dude. Once you get to a certain size, the BMI it stops actually mattering because you're just literally a big dude. And that's what it is. If you've heard the coaches talk about armor, use it the most frequently with running backs. No surprise that it works out. And then there's also that's where the BMI thing comes into play. Also, the thicker the BMI, the more durable you want to be at your position. Like, think about it. Your guys like offensive linemen, defensive linemen, tight end, linebackers, running backs. The guys that get exposed to hits, those are the guys that are bigger, thicker bodies. They're not as much defensive backs. I know it's like sounds, Nash, this is common sense. Yeah, obviously, it's common sense. Common sense, you want a guy with a higher BMI running the ball as opposed to not. And when you look at the BMI, and for example, what I'm trying to say here, so this is a quote. Look, take this from Football Outsiders. Those vagaries make BMI a better way to predict players' abilities to survive heavy workloads. Just look at the trends of running backs who reached 240 fantasy points in a season. More than half of them landed between 29.0 and 31.0 BMI. That's really where, and you're probably, well, that's fantasy points. Well, one, fantasy points mirror real life production, okay? The more you produce in real life, the more fantasy points you score. Two, you don't score fantasy points when you're injured and sitting on the bench and getting, or in the training room, on the training table. Any of those sayings you want to say. But what they're doing is they're using that BMI, fantasy football specifically, they're using that BMI to predict who is going to give the best chance at surviving a high workload. I'm just looking at the BMI numbers and I'm saying, hey, BMI, Savion Red having a thick BMI, having a higher BMI, having the highest on the team, that means he has a possibility to handle a high workload if he does boom. So if we do have a Savion Red that knows how to block, if we do have a Savion Red that has great vision, this is a guy that we can give 20-plus carries a game. Like the body size. That's what his body size allows. 20-plus carries every single week, every game. 20, and I mean, when I say 20-plus carries, I'm going to say 20-plus touches. 20 touches in that range. That's right around what we gave for Bijan Robinson. Now, we gave Bijan Robinson that because he's really good. So Savion Red's going to have to provide, some worth in that area. But especially when you got the talent that we do at wide receiver. But that's one of the things I think his versatility, it matches up with what we want to do. Really, Steve Sarkisian, he loves play action. Okay? One of the highest play action percentage guys in the nation, if not the highest. A good way to get the ball in the running back's hands here's the deal. This is where blocking comes into play. Play action, half the time you're going to be blocking. Half the time you're going to be slipping out for a pass. Okay? And if you're not good at vision, you're not good at blocking, the team, they're just going to start covering the wide receivers when it's play action. Why would they care? Why would they care about you? They're already going to stop you. They don't have to focus anything extra on you. But I think Savion Red, with his versatility, not only in the play action game, but just as a security blanket. When we're out there when we're trying to move the ball with the wide receivers and the tight ends and just use the talent that we have available, because that's what, really, the talent on your team dictates how you play football games. Last year, we had a ton of, big, beefy formations. You got Roschon Johnson, you got Bijan Robinson. We're gonna throw Byron Murphy back there. We're gonna throw Andre Carrick back there, right? This is a different year. You have different things, different needs. But Savion Red, yeah, I think he can help that. But to go to the BMI and to give you all the table on the BMI, Savion Red, because I know y'all are probably like, what's the BMI numbers? How much better is he? Savion Red, sophomore, 5'10", 214 pounds, a 30.7 BMI. Remember I told you that number, that quote? Between 29.0 and 31.0 BMI. So you don't want to get too high. Well, but I also, forget about what I just said about don't want to get too high. But freshman CJ Baxter, and he's a guy that I think will get to be a higher BMI next year. He's not fully built into his frame. He can carry more weight, and at 6'1", I think he can end up being a really, really special back even without that BMI. But with that BMI, it could allow him to do some really durable things, is a good way to say it. But his BMI is at 27.7. That's 3 points lower than Savion Red. Redshirt sophomore Jonathan Brooks, 6 foot, 204 pounds, 27.7. And if I didn't say CJ Baxter's height, it says 6'1", 210 pounds. Redshirt senior Keelan Robinson, 5'9", 185 pounds, 27.3 BMI. And then the lowest of the bunch, sophomore Jaden Blue, 6 foot, 191 pounds, 25.9 BMI. Now, I do think that BMI number is going to end up playing a crucial role in the season. Because if we don't have a boom, and here's the other deal, Savion Red may not even get a chance to boom. There's a lot of talent on this roster, especially in the running back room. I mean, strictly between C.J. Baxter, Jonathan Brooks, and Jaden Blue, there's some talent there. So, and I could see a situation where Jonathan Brooks or C.J. Baxter, they don't even, like, Savion Red just doesn't even get a chance to play. But I do think he will. I think at some point, one of those two dudes is going to end up needing to miss some time. And Savion Red is going to come in, and that's going to be his chance. He just needs that opportunity. And there's a lot of opportunity to go around in that running back room, considering we just lost 401 touches between Roschon Johnson and Bijan Robinson. Now, not all of those touches are going to go straight into the running backs. Right back over. I mean, you're going to, like, A.D. Mitchell's going to get some of those touches. Xavier Worthy, maybe. I don't even think he's going to gain some of those touches. I think, like, a guy like Jonte Cook might gain a few. Nayor's probably the best right there. He's probably the best candidate to get the most touches away from that 401 that was lost. But, so, if you like the video, go ahead. Again, drop a like on the video. Again, I mean, Savion Red. I don't think it's fair to say he's a bust either. If he doesn't do anything, you can't say he's a bust. I think this is a guy that has a chance to boom. And I mean, look, if it was just boom and only boom, like I said in the article, I'd call him an ace. But he has the chance to possibly not do anything. And when I say that, I'm not trying to sound like a dick, you know. But I'm just calling it how I see it, you know. I'm not trying to fluff it or anything like that. But he's a guy that has a chance to become a real weapon for the University of Texas in 2023. And if he doesn't, he could develop into one. So, with that in mind, be patient, and remember, we just had some really good running backs, so our standards might be skewed a little bit. But hope you all have a great day. I enjoyed being back. I'm back, baby. Hook 'em!